One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live, starts now on AM 970. The Answer.
Look for the union labels when you are buying Lacoste dress or blouse. Remember somewhere our union sewing, our wages going to feed the kids and run the house. We work hard, but who's complaining? Thanks to the ILG we're paying our way.
Those were the days, my friends, when a union label was loved and respected. The song you just heard, Look for the Union Label, was released in 1975, before many of you were born, and appeared in TV ads for about a decade to promote the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. Lyrics were by Paula Green, and the music was by Malcolm Dodds. Trust me, my friends, there's a theme here. We'll get to it in a few minutes. But before we do, let me welcome you to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas live. This guy with the sexy voice is Lucas Ferrara, and it's great to have you with us on this 2-hour joy ride, or should we say car ride. And since we're still new, this is only our 6th program, we'd like to remind you of a few things before we continue. Our format consists of talk and interviews, and along the way, we'll be sharing with you what's in our hearts and what's on our minds. So please be forewarned, our show is not for the faint of heart. With that noted, we have some special guests appearing on our program today. You'll be hearing from Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino and Jay Weinstein, who will be offering a mix of self-improvement and some food and cooking tips. It's going to be an interesting show. Based out of Maine, Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino is a best-selling, award-winning author of multiple self-help and children's books. In 2008, she founded Best Ever You, serves on the Forbes Business Council, and is also the CEO of Compliance 4. She'll be chatting about her latest book, The Success Guidebook, how to visualize, actualize, and amplify you. I don't know about amplification, but I could use some success, that's for sure. She'll be joining us around the half-hour mark, so stay tuned. Jay Weinstein has more than 25 years of cooking and writing experience. He has a culinary arts education from CIA and a journalism degree from NYU. Fancy. He's worked in prominent kitchens in Boston and New York, including Le Bernardin, Orso, which I've been to, not bad, and the Four Seasons Hotel. He's also authored a bunch of cookbooks. Jay will be talking about sustainable cooking practices and the plant-based curriculum. If you're into plants, he's going to be talking about the plant-based curriculum at the Institute of Culinary Education, which has been ranked the #1 culinary school in the country. And Jay is among the many teachers there. He'll be joining us at the half-hour mark, the second hour of our show. Now, in a few minutes, you're going to be hearing from my esteemed co-host, Mert Roberts, and my new friend, Alex Garrett, who is in the control room, engineering and producing tonight's show. Thank you, guys. But first, I'm sorry, I'm going to exercise my prerogative as the host here and get a few things off my chest. So, Mert, give me a few minutes. Now, earlier this week, Sean Fain, the president of the United Auto Workers, had a lot of chutzpah filing a National Labor Relations Board complaint against former President Trump. Now, on Monday, for those of you who didn't know, on August 12th, Trump was on X. He was talking with Elon Musk, And the former president expressed his admiration for Musk's handling of labor issues. So in that interview, maybe he should have said it differently, but in that interview, Trump said to Musk, quote, "You're the greatest cutter," C-U-T-T-R, cutter. "I look at what you do. You walk in and you say, you want to quit. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike and you say, that's okay, you're all gone, period," end quote. That's the Trump quote. Now, even though it wasn't clear what company Trump was talking about or the employees Trump was referencing, the following day, Tuesday, August 13th, Sean Fain filed a complaint with the NLRB. And in it, he basically alleged that Donald Trump was interfering, restraining, coercing employees in the exercise of their federal rights, including but not limited to making suggestions that he would, quote, fire employees engaged in protected, concerted activity, including striking, that end quote. How did Trump do that? He was referring to Musk and Musk's approach to labor issues at an unnamed company. Now, while we understand that under federal law, workers can't be fired for going on strike, okay, and you can't threaten to fire them, it's illegal, that's not what Trump said or did. He never said in that interview that he would cut employees or fire strikers. Now, in my view, what we heard from Trump, and maybe it wasn't phrased the most diplomatic way, was political speech. A candidate for political office expressing his viewpoints. Yet, the UAW saw fit and to file charges with the NLRB against the Trump campaign. Now, what's up with that? Trump wasn't threatening to fire anyone, including he wasn't threatening to fire anyone in his campaign staff, so they file a complaint. It's utter nonsense, totally frivolous. I think it's bullying. To make matters worse, the UA went out of its way to call Trump a scab. In a press release issued a few days ago, Fain said, "When we say Donald Trump is a scab, this is what we mean. When we say Trump stands against everything our union stands for, this is what we mean," said Fain. This quote continues, "Donald Trump will always side against workers standing up for themselves, and he'll always side with billionaires like Elon Musk, who's contributing $45 million a month to a super PAC to get Trump elected." The quote continues, "Both Trump and Musk want working class people to sit down and shut up, and they laugh about it openly. It's disgusting, illegal, and totally predictable from these two clowns," end quote. You know what's disgusting, Mr. Fain? What's going on with the auto industry, your kingdom, so to speak. And in my view, it appears to be on a death spiral. Now, according to an article on Thursday, ironically, Christopher Smith of Motor1.com said Ford and Chrysler are now the recall kings of 2024. What does that mean? Well, so far this year, 2024, Ford and Chrysler have had 41, that's right, 41 recalls. That's an average recall of 1.28 per week, with a whole bunch of recalls announced this month, August. And we'll talk about those in a few seconds. Those recalls, my friends, have impacted 3.7 million Ford cars, 2.6 million Chrysler vehicles, for a total of 6.3 million cars, and the year ain't over yet. Now, on August 9th, Ford issued 4 recalls covering 45,000 vehicles. Something about the windshield wiper motor was defective, and that impacted like 37,000 cars. 5,000 Mustangs suffered from suspension issues, 2,000 Ford Transits, fat steering column issues, and those are just a few of the many and they were just announced this month. And the fun doesn't stop there, my friends. On Friday, just a few days ago, Ford announced a recall of some 85,000 Explorer police vehicles because of an engine failure that could cause a fire. That's 85,000 vehicles on Friday alone. That, Mr. Fain, is disgusting. Ford announced it's bleeding $2.3 billion. That's B, $2.3 billion on those recalls. And my friends, for those of you who are mathematic geniuses, that's $25 million per day. Per day. Where's the quality control? Where's the diligence? Where's the union pride? Sadly, it doesn't exist. And how is the UAW not to blame? At least in part for what's going on in Detroit when it comes to the quality of our nation's automobiles. And while we're at it, you could hold the song for the end, though. Hold on, Alex. That's funny. And while we're at it, aren't unions supposed to be the great equalizers? They're supposed to bring higher wages to the working class. They're supposed to ensure corporate wealth is fairly distributed with the workers. That ain't what happening, my friends. According to the experts, unions are now catering to their more senior members at the expense of younger workers, both union and non-union. From most reports, unions are chiefly out to protect older members. That, according to an August article by the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. They note, here's the quote, unions don't practice what they preach, nor do they promote shared prosperity. They are on the side of the senior members first, their newer members second, and no one else after that, except maybe the politicians they help get elected. And that's what we're seeing, my friends. The buying off of politicians to suit their now distorted agendas. And you can expect unabashed retaliation by the UAW should you have the audacity to disagree with them. Now, if that weren't bad enough, unions are doing little to help local communities. According to the Mackinac Center, take a look at Flint, Michigan, where the UAW was born. A third of that city's population lives under the poverty line, more than double the national average. The city's population is less than half of what it was in 1960, and nor are the troubles limited to Flint, Michigan, my friends. All of our country's industrial union towns are struggling, from Gary, Indiana to Lordstown, Ohio. The better future unions were promising has not materialized, and it won't. As the Mackinac Center notes, unions protect their senior members at the cost of other workers, the cities they operate in, and the states that bend to their will. And that's not just bad policy, my friends. It's awfully bad business, and it ain't great for our country either. The hostility, bullying, the stagnation, the lack of competitiveness with other nations, the political pandering, the influencing, and let's not forget the dramatic decline of union towns and our nation's auto industry. Now that's disgusting, Mr. Fain. Well, what do you think, Mert?
You know what? That was a long soliloquy you went on, and it's probably very informative to everybody out there. But I still want to hear what Alex thinks. Alex, what do you think about what he said?
Firstly, thanks for having me back on, guys, tonight, and hope you're both doing well. Firstly, what Trump says on X, isn't that considered free speech? That's my first thing. I mean, I guess he can file a complaint, but I just feel like that's also saying he can't speak his mind. That's right. That's right. The first thing I got out of it. Secondly, the EV world, these charging stations and the fact that some are, blowing up in the middle of the streets. I don't know. There's some real serious dangers. And I heard that the lithium ion, is polluting the planet even more. Is it not?
Well, they say that it's not helpful. That's right. I've read that as well.
And so all of that to say
about the UAW not being focused on keeping its house in order, I think that's the message that I was trying to leave with. And the hypocrisy really strikes me.
And by the way,
Mert,
Lucas,
what do you think? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was going to make this one point, by the way, Lucas and Mert, is the fact that not all union leaders have their union members back, as you're exemplifying here. And I feel like that is mostly across the board. I know a couple of leaders that are good to their members, but where do we go, Lucas, from, unions actually doing right for the worker and now strong-arming them almost every other turn?
Well, before Mert chimes in, a lot of the articles talk about how unions have become monopolies. And that's the problem. Whenever you have a monopoly, in any form, it's bad. And I think there need to be changes. I think unions have redirected the power and in the wrong way. Mert, I'm sorry, I'm hogging up your time here.
No. You're not hogging up anything. I actually want to ask you. So, what is the solution? You have this long soliloquy. I didn't hear any solutions in it. I want to know, what do you think we should do instead of unions?
You know what, Mert? You're not going to like this, okay? I think a lot of the articles talk about how unions don't promote quality, doesn't promote true equality. I mean, there was an article here. I just lost it on my desk. But it talks about how the focus is shifting. Here we go. Monopoly institutions that raise wages through collective bargaining, not productivity improvements. In other words, people are getting raises that are not really earning them. It's almost like a longevity thing. If you're there long enough, you deserve to be protected and you deserve to be paid more. That's not really how the world operates, right? Because if I'm protected and I'm not working my full capacity, where's the incentive to work harder, to work more? These recalls, okay, in part, I think, in part, are a reflection of a lack of focus and quality control. And I think the union has to accept some responsibility for that. And people should be fired. When you're costing a company, Mert, if your company was bleeding $25 million a day, I don't think you would be very happy about that. And you would want change. But unions are not going to facilitate that. And that's the problem.
So what's the solution?
Well, if I had the solution, I'd be very successful, which would take us into our next segment in a few minutes. I don't have a solution, to be honest with you, but I do think unions have a place. I do think unions do great things. No question about that. But I think there's also been a distortion, and I think the involvement in politics, this is my opinion, is part of the problem. Alex?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't believe Sean O'Brien got a huge outcry for showing up at the GOP. I guess if he doesn't show up to the DNC, that'll be something. But I feel like some union members are trying to see what both parties offer now. And then, of course, once they find out, they're going to influence their members to vote a certain way. I feel like there is an influencing going on that isn't even talked about in the mainstream media.
Nope. Well, because many of them are union too, right? That's the irony.
Very true. That's very true. But yeah, I'm interested to see what your solution could be as you think on that. Great question on that, Mert.
Yeah, thanks, Mert. But do you have any ideas that now that you put me on the spot, we got a minute left before the break?
Well, a minute is not enough to really go into it, but I think it's fascinating that you were very passionate about it, but you haven't thought of an adequate solution for unions. So I think if you're going to be that passionate, you might want to come up with a solution at the risk of
Well, I just came up with one. We need to base protections on productivity. There should be performance reviews. You shouldn't be protected just because you've been there.
I don't think that goes quite far enough, though.
I know, but I'm not here to solve all the world's problems. And with that noted, we have a commercial break coming up, and when we come back, we'll be speaking to Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino about success and how to find it. And I think after that Lex segment, I'll need it.
Imagine you're relaxing on the sky deck of a beautiful yacht as it cruises through New York Harbor. The iconic skyline creates a picturesque backdrop as you sip a delicious summer cocktail, finding refuge from traffic that plagues the tri-state area. Sound too good to be true? All of it can be yours on board the Atlantis luxury private yacht, fully insured and Coast Guard certified. This family-owned and operated 3-deck mega yacht is the ultimate venue for your wedding, anniversary party, birthday, corporate event, bar or bat mitzvah, you name it. Captain Fred and the Atlantis crew will make any event unforgettable. Food and service are excellent. Guests can board at several locations throughout the tri-state area. Call Captain Fred at 212-633-1231 to schedule a private viewing of the Atlantis. 212-633-1231 or visit NewYorkCruises.com.
This is Dennis Prager. I am excited to announce the all-new Pragertopia Plus. You can listen to my show whenever it's convenient for you, all commercial-free and all on demand. Now with Prager Plus, search topics, guests, and segments all the way back to 2010. And now a truly exciting new benefit. My monthly online video get-together for Pragertopia Plus members only. This is where for an hour each month, Pragertopia Plus members get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. That's right, anything. It's on video. I'll be talking to you and answering your questions. We may even have a special guest every now and then. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at Pragertopia.com. This is only available to Pragertopia Plus members. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
What if this sound actually made you smile, giving you a chance to win gas and groceries for a year? It's the $13,000 gas and grocery giveaway. The grand prize winner gets $10,000 in gas and grocery gift cards. 2 first prize winners get $1,000 in gift cards. And 2 second prize winners get $500 in gift cards.
To enter, go to am970theanswer.com.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, Google Salem Surround New York right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Google Salem Surround New York today.
War has played a key role in the history of the United States, from the nation's founding right down to the present. Wars made the United States independent, kept it together, increased its size, and established it as a global superpower. Hi, I'm James Early, host of the Key Battles of American History podcast. In each episode, I discuss American history through the lens of the most important battles of America's wars. To start listening now, go to ParthenonPodcast.com or search Key Battles of American History on your favorite podcasting platform.
Want to listen to AM 970 The Answer on the go? There's an app for that. Download our free smartphone app so you can listen to all your favorite shows, keep up with us on social media, enter contests, win prizes, and even interact with our hosts, all in one place. Just search AM 970 The Answer in the iPhone App Store or the Google Play Store for the Android. Again, search AM 970 The Answer and download our smartphone app today. That way, you can take us wherever you go.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back. And now we have the pleasure of speaking with Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino. Elizabeth is based out of the beautiful state of Maine and is a best-selling, award-winning author of multiple self-help and children's books. In 2008, she founded Best Ever You, serves on the Forbes Business Council, and is also the CEO of Compliance 4. Elizabeth is here to talk about her latest book, The Success Guidebook, How to Visualize, Actualize, and Amplify You. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Hey, it's delightful to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us. And we've been, for the listeners' benefit, Elizabeth has been so kind promoting the show. Thank you on social media. That was very gracious of you. Elizabeth, let me ask you first, before we get into your book, how would you define success? That to me, the word success, that to me is such a nebulous concept. It's pretty subjective. But you're the expert, so what do you think? How would you define it?
You know, I think it's not the money in our pockets. It's not the, dollars in our bank accounts and all that we achieve and all those things. I like to think of it now at, I guess if you would ask me when I was 20, I might have a different answer. But I'm 55, and I'm a mom of 4 sons in their 20s. And I really think it's all about smiles and heart and alignment and alignment to purpose and more things that tangle personal and professional together instead of one for the other.
Now, Mert, said you had some advice for people who are looking for success. Before we ask Elizabeth, you had some input or some advice?
Well, I wanted to get the expert's opinion on what my approach to finding success is, because I look at it this way, because I think smiles and happiness is, like you said, it's subjective to what that means to each individual. So I always tell people, if they ask me for advice on how I can be successful, this is what I would say to them. I'd say to them, cut out everything that doesn't make sense. Cut out everything that's not pushing you forward. Cut out everything that's basically like fun and it's not productive at all. And just focus on the main thing. And once you get some kind of success with the main thing, that's when you can start to incorporate different stuff back into your life. But not until whatever it is you want to do. You want to be a musician, you want to be an artist, you want to be a doctor. Not until you start to see some success in the field you're trying to go into should you incorporate other stuff. But until that point, you lock in and you zero in and you focus on achieving that main goal. And I think that's how you push yourself and propel yourself to being successful. What do you think about that?
I think mic drop. I think it's perfect. I actually kind of love it.
You agree with him, Elizabeth? Oh, come on.
I'm sorry. No, I really do, I disagree. I disagree completely.
Contentious. We're supposed to be
contentious. Let her talk, Lucas. Let her talk.
I'm just kidding.
No, I get it. No, I love that. I'm not sure that I love one part of it, though, where you don't add, where you disregard all fun and joy and happiness and things like that while you're on your upward climb toward whatever it is. But I get it, that intense focus. I was just reading a magazine article before we got on the air, and it said, always hire a college athlete. They know what it's like to work when no one else is working, and they know how to win in interesting situations where everything's on the line and things like that. And, I just love the idea of how various people achieve what they achieve. But what I find most often is that when people are aligned with their heart, truth, and energy, that's where the real success comes from. It's that success where you're doing what you really actually love to do. I think there's so many people schlepping to work and doing things that they don't love to do. And we're having these moments because we're not entitled to time at all. Once you figure that out, we are not entitled to time. And so that, if you back that up, that means every nanosecond matters. And how you're spending every nanosecond matters. And I think the pandemic showed us that a lot of people changed what they do and aligned with other things. And don't want to commute 4 hours this way and that way and do this or that. And so I think we're seeing success being redefined right now, personally and professionally. And I don't, interrupt me, please, if I'm going on and on. But, I don't think we're stopping our personal lives anymore when we're going to work.
Can I ask you this? Can I ask you this though? Because you know what I figured out? I figured out that people get very good at having fun, and they keep doing that, and they keep enjoying themselves, and they take these vacations. They go back to the job they hate, but they really want to do something else professionally, but they never get around to it because they become successful at having fun and taking vacations and having these great social lives, and then they wake up one day and they say, I've wasted all this time. So like, how do we get over that? How do people get over that? Being successful at stuff that doesn't propel you forward.
Yeah, I teach comprehensive success, meaning that we're mindful of all the different areas of our lives so that we don't, get to be a certain age or in a certain place or space and turn around and go, wow, I've sacrificed everything for this or that. And, I really think it's important to pay attention. Yeah, pay attention to your career, but we need to be paying attention to our health. And I know this firsthand. When I was in my 20s, I was traveling, 100,000 miles around the country with 2 toddlers in tow and a nanny, teaching people, federal securities laws and all these things. And I have 4 life-threatening food allergies on board that happened in my 25th year of life. I completely blew out my immune system with stress and all sorts of things. And so, I just think it's so important to be incredibly aware and incredibly mindful of how we're spending our time. And if it's not something you love to do, and it's not people that you want to be around, and all of these things, yes, please change. Please change it up.
Forgive me for saying this, but you know what? I've told somebody this one time. I said, I don't want to hear advice from somebody who's out of shape, or excuse me for saying, I know this is going to be controversial, but somebody who's a nerd or ugly, because they have no choice but to be good at something. But when you have everything going for yourself, how do you say, you know what, I'm going to stop being balanced and I'm going to focus in and lock in on achieving greatness? Because I feel like most people of average looks, decent shape, that's the problem the average person has, is everything is going pretty much good. Why would I want to rock the boat and chase something else, chase greatness? So that's what I would ask you.
Well, I love it when people chase greatness, and I think it happens in all shapes, sizes, forms, and so forth. I don't necessarily think it happens one way or the other. I understand what you're saying, but I think that when I'm going to use an example. I love stories and things like that, but I think about our son chasing greatness. So I'm a mom of 4 sons. They're 23, 25, 27, and 29 now. And they're all doing different things. Yeah. They're all doing different things, but a little one at about age 6 months old started throwing things with his left hand, and we're like, that's interesting. He kind of seems like he's going to be a baseball player, maybe. I don't know. He loved baseball from a really, really super young age. He fought through a life-threatening illness, ages 1 through 3, had a surgery, survived all of these things. And long story short, he played baseball in college. He's overseas in Germany right now playing professional baseball. And he is an example of fighting through everything and narrowing in and focusing and doing what he loves to do. And I think that there's something to be said for that for sure. The other thing about him, though, is that he's been taught gratitude, and he's been taught comprehensive success. He's been taught best ever you. He's grown up with it all over the refrigerator, all over everything. And so, he has 2 master's degrees and undergrad degree. He's got a undergrad and master's degree in environmental science and a master's degree in sports industry management. And he played baseball at New Haven and Georgetown, transferred and went through all these things that are in the book. And what that means is you have a fallback plan in case you get injured like he did. So there's success is so, it's so important to just pay attention to what you really love to do. And if you're not doing it, do it. Like, I had a question for you guys. I'm like, okay, this is cool. You're on your 6th show now. What made you guys start a radio show? I wanted to flip the questions on you. I wanted the backstory because it's cool.
We would need hours to answer that. But this is about you, and we want to talk about your book, The Success Guidebook, How to Visualize, Actualize, and Amplify You. Unfortunately, we have a break coming up. Elizabeth, I warned you about these commercial breaks. So we have one coming up, and when we come back, we'd like to talk about your book, The Success Guidebook, because that's why you're here. You're on tonight's show, but you do sound like a great mom, so God bless you. We'll be back in a few minutes with Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino.
I get to speak with so many people thanks to this radio show, and I got to tell you, people are getting really frustrated with car dealers in the process of buying a car. And I get it, as it can be brutal with all the games, the back and forth, the haggling. Well, if you're tired of all of that, and if you're tired of dealing with dummies every time you're in the market for a vehicle, do I have a solution for you? The guys over at Route 22 Toyota in Hillside, New Jersey have it all figured out. Alex Cancella and his team are real people. They don't waste your time. They have the entire process streamlined, and it really is the smart way to buy. Alex has all sorts of deals going on this month, but it's simple. If you're in the market for a new or used Toyota, call 973-705-8905. You tell them Piscopo sent you. Again, 973-705-8905. Tell them I sent you, and then proceed to kick yourself for not knowing about Route 22 Toyota the last 3 times you needed a car. Am I right? Get over to Route 22 Toyota, right on Route 22 West in Hillside, New Jersey, or online at Route22Toyota.com. Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to NewmanFerrara.com. That's NewmanFerrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Wish there was an easier way to navigate the world of real estate? If only there was a way to learn from the best. Well, now there is. Saturdays at 10 a.m., our very own Dottie Herman, Vice Chair of Douglas Elliman, gives you the inside track to what is hot in real estate. Stay one step ahead in today's seller's market as Dottie gives her tips on how to make it through the tricky waters of real estate. Doesn't matter if you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, you need to listen to Eye on Real Estate. Dottie and her terrific team of experts will guide you as sellers and buyers to make sure you're getting the best value for your property. Whether you want to become a real estate agent or work within the business, there's no better person to learn from than the great Dottie Herman. She's a legend. She's the best, period. Tune in to Eye on Real Estate, Saturdays at 10 a.m. here on AM 970, The Answer. That's Eye on Real Estate. Don't miss it, Saturdays at 10 a.m. here on AM 970, The Answer.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The nation's leading Democrats will be in Chicago next week, launching on Monday the convention that will nominate Kamala Harris as the Democratic Party nominee, along with her hard-left Minnesota Governor Tim Walz running mate. It should be on every voter's mind. Is Harris up to this job? In answering that, we've got very little to work with from recent days. 0 interviews, 0 press conferences from the vice president since Joe Biden withdrew more than 2 weeks ago. What we do have is cringe-inducing. Kamala Harris would be the least credentialed, least impressive, least prepared presidential candidate elected in the modern era if she wins. It's impossible to imagine the damage from her policies and what they would do because they would be so far to the left of anything the country has ever experienced. Simply put, Vice President Harris represents a hard left agenda and does not possess the minimum skill set necessary to be president. Let's pray the American people can see through legacy media's charm offensive for Harris and instead choose course correction in Donald Trump.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
We've been speaking to Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino, and we're about to talk about her new book, The Success Guidebook, How to Visualize, Actualize, and Amplify You. Now, Elizabeth, can you tell us what's this Success Guidebook about?
Well, it's about redefining success for ourselves personally and professionally, and it has narrative from me in each chapter. There's 10 factors of success. There are 20 contributors in the book who share stories, and then there are 2 exercises after the end of each chapter. So it's an entire masterclass in success.
Wow! And why did you feel there was a need for this book? Why did you write it?
I think a lot of us don't feel so successful and so great all of the time. We don't feel enough. We compare ourselves to other people, and I know I felt that way a lot over the course of my career. I've just had moments where I'm like, I just don't know what I'm doing or why, and so forth. And I don't feel like I've had moments where I just don't feel like I'm doing as well as I thought I should. And I wanted to write a guidebook for that. When you feel that way in that moment, you can, my book will give you a giant hug, and help you move forward and help us remember our value. I think that's just so important, to remember your value and your worth and do things that bring you peace.
Yeah. Elizabeth, did you find a lot of people are lost right now? And that's
more than ever. I wrote a book before this called The Change Guidebook, and it came out during COVID, and people needed that book so badly and loved it. And this is the layup to that. So the books go together. I write about gratitude, change, and success, and just navigating toward what brings you joy and peace.
And you also do public speaking, I saw from your website, right? You're a coach, and you do lectures and all the other great stuff. Do you have some pointers that you could share with us, some of the factors of success that are in your book?
I do, and I do love to public speak. I'm sort of a budding public speaker, I would say, but I'm learning the ropes of that. But the book takes you through chapter 1 from imagine, believing, focus, all the way to chapter 10 is celebrating your success. I talk about change, through navigating change and collaboration and networking and things like that. But like in celebrating success, I don't mean let's go out to the bars and party, but rather talk about celebrating our small wins. And I introduce a concept called success stacking. Kind of like habit stacking, only we're going to do it with our successes. So when we do something and it's working out, we're going to hold on to that and anchor in that power in those moments that we feel a little bit more successful than we did in the last moment.
Now, you say that in your book that we need to redefine success, and we spent the first segment, talking about the definition. Can you tell us more about this? What do you mean by redefining success?
Well, I don't think success is one size fits all. I just really don't think that it is. In my coaching practice, which I've had since 2008, I've seen a lot of people over the course of the years, and most people come to me because they want to change something or they want to feel more successful. And so I wanted to help people look inward, look upward, look outward, and help people learn how to see it, be it, and do it. That's what visualize, actualize, and amplify. I want people to be able to be confident in what they want to do and kind of tune out the people who say you can't or you'll never do that or why or,
the negativity.
All those people who come at you when you do something.
Yes.
Yes.
You know.
And
I was thinking of something. Let me get your thoughts on this.
Talking about the negative, Elizabeth. Go ahead. Hurry up.
No. I was thinking about how, because negative is a big thing today. I was thinking about how the lack of success makes people act out in certain ways. Can you speak about what are your thoughts on what people start to do with their personal lives when they're not successful? How does that start to affect society? How does that start to affect people on a daily basis when they're not successful and they're starting to look for other ways and other avenues to express their displeasure with their lack of success? Because if you can talk about that, then your book becomes more valuable in propelling people to success.
Yeah, I do talk about that in my book a lot, because I do think people feel this way, and what are you going to do about it? You know, are you going to listen to everybody? Are you going to listen to yourself? Even if you feel that way, you know, what are you going to do? How are you going to act? How are you going to behave? What's your attitude? What are you going to focus on, and what are you going to align to? And it really matters. And when you feel this way, I think it's very important to probably tell, I think anyway, I think it's really important to tell somebody about it. You know, tell somebody how you're feeling, you know, if it's a coach you hire, or if it's a person you talk to, or whatever it is. I think it's really important to find somebody who believes in you more than you do in that moment, and help you get back on track. And I see a lot of people.
Advice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful advice.
Yeah,
Elizabeth.
Just reach out, because one of the things, I think one of the most important things about success is that, you know, we have these little moments where we might have this crazy dream, and we're like, no, I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that, or whatever it is. And then people say, no, you shouldn't. And, you know, if Cam quit, all the times people told him to stop playing baseball, and he's a left-handed pitcher, you know, he tuned out. I told all my kids young, you know, we need a set of earplugs and bubble wrap. Earplugs to tune out the naysayers, and bubble wrap because it's bumpy out there. And I stand by that, because it's just super important to follow your heart and dreams. And if you can't visualize it for yourself, no one else can either. And you might need somebody in that moment who's on your side and helping you visualize. It's also so important to express your dreams and goals out loud to other people, because once you do that, people can show up for you and help you achieve. So important.
It's like a positive
if you're
affirmation.
Quiet about,
is it like a positive affirmation? Like
now, can you write
something to happen? That is amazing. Tell us about your contributors, because we're running a little late on time. Your book has a bunch of contributors. Tell us about them. How did you select them?
Oh, yeah, you know, I put out a note out there saying I was writing another book, and there were hundreds of people that applied to be contributors. So it's kind of a tough process, but I choose them by what their message is and what they've gone through. And so all 20 of the people in the book, from Olympian Mitch Gaylord to the head of UPS in the United States, to I have a child actor who's 14. I have the head coach at Georgetown University. I have my own sons in here. There are all sorts of people, ages 14 to 85, who've contributed stories of perseverance to the book.
And
shared
their secrets. And shared their secrets to success. So where can we get this book, Elizabeth? Because I want to make sure at least we mention where. Is it on Amazon? All the Barnes & Nobles? Tell us.
It's available wherever books are sold. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all the independent bookstores. And I just received word that both the Change Guidebook and the Success Guidebook are now being available in India as well in book format. So yeah, I got it. So international, here we go.
Have you been to India? Have you been to India?
I have not. No, I have not.
It's a beautiful excuse to go, and you'll have an amazing time. What's your favorite chapter in the book?
Believe. I really think the believe in yourself part is the one. If you're going to pick up the book and read just one thing out of it, read chapter 2. Believe. It's all about believing in ourselves and the trust we place in ourselves, where we fully anchor in self-love, self-worth, gratitude, and self-confidence, no matter what.
Wow. I read something in your book about comprehensive success. What is that? How is it different?
So comprehensive success is where we're paying attention to all of the areas of our lives, from career to relationships to our health and so forth, and finding success in each one of those areas, not just the pursuit of a career at the expense of everything else.
Interesting. Do you have any advice that you could share with us about how to achieve success, whether it's personal or professional? I mean, come on, we're here. We want some tidbits.
I go back to what it is that brings you peace, but I would also say that things like eliminating distractions. You talked about focusing. It's a great chapter in here too, where you really hone in on what it is that you love to do, want to do, are good at, even bad at, and learning. Whatever it is that you love to do that brings you peace, you go for it. And but I think you have to do the work. I do not think that you can sit around and wish for it to happen. I think you have to work for it to happen.
Amen. That I think a lot of Americans, particularly younger people, have lost sight of the fact they just sit there waiting for things to come their way, and that's not the way the world works.
Well, that goes back to my point. That goes back to my point of people having everything handed to them or having a good life.
Yeah.
What's going to motivate you to get out there and do more for yourself when it's easy? That's why I was concerned with the average person. How do they get this mentality of, I need to achieve something? Because it's difficult to break out of a rut. Well, not a rut, but a comfortable way of living, and just to make it difficult for yourself. It's difficult for most people to do that because things are so easy and it's nice.
It is nice. You've got to get uncomfortable to grow, for sure. And I think of the Savannah Bananas and Jesse Cole and his wife Emily. They got real uncomfortable to be who they are today. They had a dream. They were on the floor of a dilapidated apartment complex, sleeping on an air mattress, eating crackers. They were broke. They were negative in their bank account, and they aligned and they said, we are going to change the game of baseball. We're going to have our fans first, and we're going to be this or that. And they're on ESPN now. Wow. And they're in the book, and I've interviewed Jesse several times, and they love the Success Guidebook and all that it represents. And when I started writing this book, I called him and I'm like, I have to have you in this book. I love the way you operate. And one of the ways that when you are trying to break out of that rut that you're talking about, one of the best ways is his advice, which is do the opposite. I love that.
Yeah,
do the opposite.
It's amazing. We only have a few minutes left, Elizabeth, and I saw from your website and reading your bio that you've helped thousands of people across the globe achieve their best through the Best Ever You network. And I visited your website. I loved it. Can you tell us a little more about that?
I can. So in 2008, our little one went into first grade, and I thought I'd go back to the financial services industry. I was sitting there in a business office with four guys fighting, grown men fighting. It was like, oh no! And I quit my job on the spot. I wrote Best Ever
on radio sometimes. Yeah, but anyway.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. So I wrote Best Ever You, Best Ever Me down, Best Ever You stuck. I quit my job, went home, told everybody I quit, walked up the street. Got a neighbor. She helped me register the domain, put up a tiny website. I interviewed one of my friends from kindergarten on the website, and it was just so intentional. I'm like, I want to go back to doing what I want to do, which is writing. I love to write and interview people on the radio and help people be their best. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. I got a call from somebody who told me I was a washed-up 40-year-old soccer mom, and I'm like, dude, my kids don't even play soccer, and I hung up. That kind of stuff.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
It is terrible when you're trying to do something that's positive and people do that to you. But, the Best Ever You network, it's there. My mom says, it's got everything but the kitchen sink. And I'm like, bring on the kitchen sink. Let's go for it. And it's just this positive, trusted spark in the universe that, you don't have to use it every day, but it's there when you need it.
Please go see the website. What is the website again? BestEverYou.com. I don't want to misrepresent it. If you could share it with us.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, BestEverYou.com. And my personal website is elizabethgarino.com.
Oh, please check it out. And also, if you have a chance, please pick up her copy of her latest book, The Success Guidebook, How to Visualize, Actualize, and Amplify You by Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino. Elizabeth, I think that was success. What do you think?
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And now we have to go to a break. But thank you, Elizabeth, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Be back in a few minutes.
The preceding hour of programming, sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.